All right. Thank you. First off, good morning. Thank you for getting us in contact with Jamie. Jamie and Anthony were great to work with, so that was very helpful. And then I'm gonna so we're in CE506, this lean construction course. And then I'll talk a little bit about our project, but I'm gonna go ahead and let our project team introduce themselves. You know me, I'm Catherine.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Mark.
Hi, Manas.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Dylan Murphy, as the screen says. So, sorry I couldn't be out there with y'all, but looking forward to hear what you've got to say.
Dylan, do you care to just give them a quick what you do at ATS, and then I'll get into our project?
Sure. So, I've been at ATS since 2013. When I graduated from UK, I have steadily grown up to do basically a little bit of everything here. I'm titled a project manager, but I do everything from estimating to managing the jobs to on the side occasion managing our fleet of iPads that run our production system. So a little bit of everything, but we're all pretty lean here.
I used to always joke that I was an EIT and IT support when I was working. All right, so like I said, we're in this CE506 Lean Construction course, and our first project was to go visit a project site and observe an activity for at least an hour, and identify, kind of log what we observe. So time-stamped logs, and then identify any areas where there is waste. And so Lean defines 8 different kinds of waste. There are defects, overproduction, weighting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and then extra processing or over processing. So those were the things that we were logging as we were watching the activity. So the project that Jamie got us set up on was the Newtown Pike widening project. And he had a crew, Anthony's crew was working on installing HDPE pipe off of Citation between box 57 and 58. And so when we got to the project site, we had asked Anthony, like, oh, how much work do you think you'll be able to get done in the hour that we're here? And I think that their intention had been just to work on digging their trench in preparation for pipe installation. And they actually ended up getting a length of pipe installed within the hour that we were there. So they actually ended up digging about a foot long trench and then getting a portion of pipe installed. So this is just a quick overview of like the things that we observed while we were here, what we identified as waste, and then some recommendations to kind of accommodate those things. Does anybody have anything else to add before we get through this presentation? Okay. I am also assuming everybody can still see this. Okay. All right, so like I said, project Newtown Pike, grade and drain with asphalt surface. And then we were at that intersection of Newtown Pike and Citation Boulevard watching the pipe installation. Anthony had one crew out there with 3 people. And we were out there last Wednesday, February 18th, between 10:30 and 11:30. This is just an observation of the site itself, kind of where things were located on the project site. So we've got the excavator and the trench site. We had the dozer that was moving those that spoil pile as the excavator excavated that material. There was stone stockpiled in one area and then pipe stockpiled on the far end. Also an additional excavator that was just parked there all day. Then does anybody want to go into these observation records?
Yeah, so the graph on your top left with like the vibrant colors, and the red is the waste and the green was the value added, and then the yellow was the non-value added required work that happened while we were there. So the yellow was mainly just the maintenance. So maintenance came for greasing, fueling, etc., whatever happens when that truck comes. And then the green was obviously everything value added. So that was placing the pipe, excavating, stuff like that. And then the red is when we had workers waiting, we had equipment waiting, and work just wasn't happening, or there's transportation to the stockpiles that we just saw. And then if Manaz wants to go through the other two, because she generated those.
Okay, actually the left curve is about the type of waste. We saw 91% of waiting and 8% of transportation during that 1 hour. And the other curve is about the waiting by resource. We saw 21 minutes about excavator is waiting, and I think 24 minutes about idling the dozer and crew. And then sorry, let me share my screen because I can't see the numbers.
You should have access to do that now.
Okay, I think I have a problem. Could you please share? I read in from my computer. Could you please reshare it?
I can see it again.
Okay, okay. And about 21 minutes about the dozer, and 13 minutes crew, and skid steer about 8 minutes during the 1 hour that we observed the process.
Okay, do we want to take turns on going through this list of recommendations? All right. So the first recommendation based on the time calculated for each type of waste was, does the dozer need to be continuously on site for this operation, or can its task be covered on demand or by other equipment that's on site? So especially due to the area that they were working in, they had pretty tight constraints. There's silt fence right by there. Doesn't look like there's a large construction easement to do a lot of the work. So maybe the skid steer can do some of the work of the dozer and eliminate one of those pieces of equipment that's sitting on the project, because it did have a significant amount of idle time. All right, next one.
I can do this one. The second one was, as Amanda talked about, there was a lot of maintenance that happened during, and it was obviously you got to do that, so it's very important. But we were thinking instead of doing it kind of in the middle of the work that was being done at the time, to either start to have it done before the shift at lunchtime, or even once the shift is over. That way, that kind of non-value added work is minimized and it turns to value added, and the work can continue on progressing and not be halted by something that has to be done, but not necessarily done at that exact moment. And obviously this could be part of the maintenance crew. They just had to get around to all the job sites. We understand that, but it was just something that we thought of that could possibly be brought to attention and maybe change for the future. Let me get the next one.
And then I can do the next one. So that was if we could adjust the spoil placement. So when the material was getting excavated, the excavator was doing a 180 and putting it right behind themselves, but that was actually their direction of travel. So then the dozer was coming, moving that material, but either way, you're still producing a double dig. And if there was another spot, like Catherine said, it was a tight project, so I'm not sure how much available space you have to put like your excavation. But if you moved it, then you kind of limit the dozer need for spreading that material, and then also reduce the double dig that the excavator is performing.
Okay, next recommendation was, would it be feasible to stage a small controlled buffer of bedding stone near the work face to keep materials ready at the point of use and maintain steady progress? So like one of the lean concept is like just-in-time delivery. So like you receive material at the point in which you need it. So for this particular work site, we already had rock that was stockpiled in one location, pipe that was stockpiled in another location. So that's considered inventory on a project. So it's inventory that's waiting on work. It's waiting on workers to actually get it installed. So yeah, that was another suggestion, just to accommodate the inventory of materials that were in the work site. And then the last one.
So the last one is that many delays occurred because keep inputs weren't ready. So we were thinking that maybe you guys already do this, but a daily constraint check before starting work could help clear blockers, which would reduce the waiting, support better daily planning and the resource allocation throughout the site. Because I feel like it's been brought up a few times, just how the pipe stockpiles a little bit further away, the rock stockpiles a little bit further away, the excavator's causing double dig, and then that material has to get moved by the dozer. So there's a lot of transportation time with the equipment, which takes away from the productivity and causes that. It might seem insignificant, but it's an inefficiency.
Yeah. And then in our previous slide, we showed a defect. It actually wasn't a defect for that particular activity. What happened was when they were moving the pipe over to the trench location, they dropped the pipe onto part of the silt fence, which damaged the silt fence and caused the defect. So then that's just added work that has to be done to correct that silt fence later too. So those are all of the things that we had to present to you. Any thoughts?
Yeah, those are all great, great suggestions, good thoughts to go through it. I think everyone in your group is realized that every time you dig a trench, it's a different story. So sometimes you can't. There's no one size fits all. Every situation is different, but yeah, for recognizing those things, those are good observations. Stuff that I'll bring up to the crew. I wasn't out there. I haven't been out there in a while. I'm technically on other projects, but I'm familiar with all of our pipe operations. So I'll review the area myself and kind of dig into what you all mentioned even further.
Yeah, there are several instances of like one or two crew members that are waiting, but then when it comes time to actually install the pipe, you do need a 3-person crew because you need someone to be operating the excavator. You need 2 people to be guiding that pipe on either end. So yeah, timing may just be adjusted to help that. That's all we have. Thank
think-
you again.
I think you all probably made the crew nervous. That's why they dropped the pipe.
Yes, actually, when we were talking about it later, because I asked Anthony, I said, how much work do you think you'll get done in the hour? And that was just like it was just to give us a metric to be measuring by. And he was like, I don't know, we'll probably dig like 10 feet or so. Maybe 20 if you guys were here for 2 hours. And we were like, okay. Like I was trying to ask it in such a way that it felt low stress. But I don't think I accomplished that goal. So anyway, they ended up digging more material and getting further along than what they had predicted they were going to do in an hour.
Yeah, especially on that project and projects we're seeing more of, the unknowns are the underground utilities. So that is one inefficiency that we run into a lot that we can't really control a whole lot of. Uh, if we dig, if we expose a utility, we got to know if it's live or dead. And sometimes the relocated utility is 3 feet away. So that causes us to have to call the utility company, have them come out, confirm whether it's live or dead, because we technically cannot do anything ourselves to the utility to confirm it.
All right. Thank you so much.
No problem.
I'm going to stop recording. Okay, so reflection following our meeting with the contractor, initial thoughts.
I thought it went well. I thought he was open and receptive to what we were saying and said that he was immediately going to follow up with the people that are actually on site, which is a positive, which I mean, I think we can take his word for it. He seemed pretty genuine that he would actually follow up and wants to improve the project. So that was my take on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that, because I went back and looked at this project, it has utility coordination on it as a pay item, which is where the state like has the contractor appoint a person to coordinate with all the utility companies. And in the past, Dylan has been that person for this company, so I assume he is that person on this project as well. And you heard him admit himself, he was like, it's been a little while since I've been out on this project because I'm on other things. So this probably was a good opportunity to check in with him to also be a little reminder to go have a site visit on this project as well. But I do think this project had slowed down for a little while and it's starting to pick up momentum again. I also think that what was put together to present to him was really well done too. I think that was easy to visualize and then easy to communicate with those visuals.
I agree.
I didn't expect him to accept, but if he were there, actually everything would be better because he can see the situation or something like that. But now it's a little weird. We just be observed and tell him, and he will think about it and something like that.
Yeah. He did also make the point of like our presence there probably made them a little bit nervous too, and that's why they got to the point of being able to drop pipe. So I suspect the same would be true if he was on site too, is that they would be like, oh man, our project manager's on site today. We've really got to like get after it. So it could just be a difference in like who's present on a project on a given day.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad that I didn't bring up the non-utilized talent about the excavator. Thanks, God.
All right, cool. Anything else? I think it was a good meeting. I think that it was a positive meeting.
You have some experience in this. At what point, somebody does this kind of research and they find waste. At what point is it to an extent where like you actually probably should make a change on it? Because he's probably like, there's not much we can do. Like we got to have that equipment on there for the one time that we do need it.
It
And I was going to ask him that, but
for him, for this particular project, it could also be that it's not going to be the case where that's going to be the only crew on site either, because you work in like project phases. Even though horizontal construction is linear, it isn't truly built linear. You still will work in like parts and pieces sometimes. And so that like the additional excavator that's there, it wasn't doing anything that day. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't bring another grade crew out there and move it to another
Right.
location on site to do work. Or it doesn't mean that they won't send a second pipe crew out there. It kind of just depends on what their production level is and what other work they have going on. I've included it in our project folder. All of the state projects will have a proposal with them. So that's like the contract, like contract language and stuff in it. And a lot of times highway projects will have one of two things. They'll either do like a working day project, which means they'll say, oh, for this project, you have 275 working days. And when they do that, they choose an activity to be considered like, okay, if you can do this activity this day, then that is considered a working day and we count it. And then the other way you do that is just a completion date, which is what this project is. And so it has a completion date. I think it's December of this year. But I also need to go back and look at if there have been some amendments to this project, because I think that it had some delays. Yeah, the primary completion date is December 1st of, oh, no, correction. The primary completion date when it was let was December 1st of last year. And obviously they haven't finished the project yet. I'm going to assume that there were probably some kind of utility delay since there is utility coordination on this project, or a major change order. that has it added time to the project. Because it was awarded during this time. That's another thing I included in the in our project folder is their portion of the unit bid tabulation. So anytime, can you guys see this? Okay, so anytime a project is bid on for a highway project, this stuff is all publicly available. So it's in Construction Procurement's website. They produce like a giant document that is every single project, and it shows if there had been multiple bidders, it would be like bidder number one, bidder number two. So this one only had one bidder. It's LM Asphalt Partners doing business as ATS Construction, and their bid amount was $22,198,795.26. And it will also say whether or not it's like a low bid or a high bid. And this was within 4.83% of the engineer's estimate. I don't think they provide the engineer's estimate when they do that, but you can go through here and look at literally every single pay item that is on this project, what the quantity is for the project, and what their bid price is for that unit. So it really just depends. This project's already been delayed. I assume the new completion date is this December of this year, but I can ask the project engineer and find out what the major delay has been on it. All right, cool.